dangling undulous balls does Square Enix have against party-based role-playing exactly? Not 10 years ago, your games, even the mind-bendingly bad ones, could nevertheless boast that they were at least uniquely enriched by a colorful array of supporting playable characters. Yet here we sit in 2014, 3 sequels into the most universally reviled Final Fantasy without the words Mystic or Quest in the fucking title, and the Algonquin Roundtable at Square Enix of Japan remains stubbornly convinced that all we fucking require is a taciturn borderline amnesiac with pouty powers, a rhinestone wedged so far between her tits it bonds with a ribcage on the subatomic level, and needlessly ornate neckwear that absolutely isn't a transparent merchandising tie-in goat fuck.
Merchandising.
Merchandising? What's that?
Merchandising. Come, I'll show you. Open up this door. Come, walk this way. Take a look. We put the picture's name on everything. Merchandising, merchandising!
Which puts it perfectly in sync with the returning super dress-up happy fun time hour mechanic that moved millions of copies of Final Fantasy X too. Back to the GameStop where they were originally purchased. Square, listen the fuck up and listen well. This mechanic eats. And if you leering dickbags bring it back again between that and your sterling record of recent corporate discognizance, in 5 years' time, Final Fantasy will be referred to in the past tense. And speaking of the past, let's have a sing-along about the arbitrary fucking time limit, shall we? Now, in theory, the very concept of finite playtime in what is in theory an RPG is patently horrifying, particularly when certain side quests trigger only at certain times of the day or night, presumably because Square Enix felt honor-bound to remind us all that yes, they are just that butt-fucking retarded. Majora's Mask ameliorated this potential frustration by providing a spell to roll back time to the very first day it will. Breath of Fire Dragon Quarter fixed the problem by not fixing the fucking problem, and that's why Breath of Fire is presently swilling watery tea along with Mega Man, Final Fight, and profitability around a great big campfire called shit Capcom no longer gives a fuck about. 13.3's approach settles somewhere between the two thanks to a time-stopping power that appears to perform the task admirably until you realize Chronostasis is more prone to abuse than Chris Brown after a box of wine coolers. The ability is refilled, you see, by something called EP, which the player accrues by the unbridled shitload, might I add, after a battle with even the weakest enemies in the game. Battle, stop time, repeat. Welcome to game design. Cap the fuck off with a narrative that reads like a drunken game of pin the tail on the Animu cliche, and a protagonist who's a haircut and a testosterone treatment away from being a sleepwalking Rachel Maddow, and Lightning Returns is not merely bad Final Fantasy, but one of the most lifeless, miserable excuses for an RPG of this entire console generation. And the fucking dialogue! I mean, we're all fairly well acquainted with cerebral snippets like, I will fight evil, and even the eternal knee slapper, destiny is destiny. What none of us were fully aware of until playing the fucking turd is, that was actually on the decidedly higher end of this game's dialogue spectrum.
It's like there's a hole where she used to be.
Giggity giggity, giggity goo. Stick around.
Motherfucker, I just finished spending an entire month choking down the great big cheese wheel that is the Death Wish film franchise, but this game's dialogue makes Death Wish 3 sound like a fucking Steinbeck novel.
What are you doing here?
I was just using the toilet.
Here's the thing, Charles Bronson is Charles Bronson. He could read a fucking phone book and the entire audience would grow a mustache by osmosis, but Lightning has 2 settings, mope and mope with a vengeance.
This isn't a war, it's a murder. This isn't a war, it's a murder.
Which is outright inexcusable when 90% of the game revolves around riveting concepts like collecting oil flasks, playing Operation with a goddamn chocobo, and playing hide-and-seek with fucking Moogles. Tiresome hackneyed dialogue is tiresome hackneyed dialogue in any context, but enduring hour upon narcoleptic hour of Allie Hillis sounding like she's on the 5th day of a heroin bender, yawning her way through a side quest about rounding up fucking sheep? That's torture under Geneva statutes, and fuck you very much. The battle system is sort of a highlight, as it flagrantly tears pages from the books of Parasite Eve and Quest 64 with a shamelessness that's almost admirable. In practice, however, that battle system is once again hampered by the only thing latter-day Square Enix loves more than impenetrable plots and asymmetrical clothing. Pointless fucking battle gauges. Look, if you're gonna be real-time, Square, then be fucking real-time, because the longer you straddle the fence between the past and future, the more likely it is you'll rack yourself on said fence in the present. No one would have devoted 5 entire minutes to Skyrim or Oblivion if in between hits we had a change change fucking outfits to refresh our pink pedantry gauge and progress the fucking battle. You can give us all the customizable color sliders you want. Dress up is dress up. If that shit was dumb in 10-2, it's full on concussed now. You know, I want to make perfectly clear off the bat that with Lightning Returns, change is not really the core malady here. If there were ever a series in existence in dire need of change, the real substantive variety, mind you, not the pocket kind or the fake Obama kind, then its name is Final Fantasy. The caveat, however, is that in doing so, you must not suck 12 veiny dicks simultaneously while attempting said change, and you do! I'm Razorfist, God, sucking speed.
One day, the light touched me. It was God himself speaking to me.
You believe in Jesus?